Good evening, everybody, and welcome to ILR2 Esports Season 6 for the British Grand Prix, home of British motorsport. And tonight, joining me is the Amazement. How you doing, mate?
Hello, it's lovely to be back after, feels like a while now. It's been like 3 to 4 weeks. And yeah, it's good to be back. Thank you for the warm introduction, Dom. Much appreciated.
That's cool. So, Britain, we've been away. Actually, I've been away for a couple of weeks as well. So, just catching up on the standings and things. Jork is still in this championship somehow. I think before I left before Canada, he lost it, and now he's regained it back. But Danny M7 has been on a bit of form recently after Canada. He didn't get a good result in France, and I think that was a wet to dry race, but he got on the podium there, and Mike Marshmallow won in France and came fourth in Austria. So the Mercedes boys doing a really good job, and they're definitely the team to beat this season in terms of consistency, and both of them scoring good points. But in qualifying already, we've got the wet weather already, and that's showing us the British weather is all in force on this game, which is going to make things very interesting. Yeah, it's going to make things very interesting, and maybe it might be one of those wet to dry sessions. It doesn't look to be that heavy. It looks quite light, so it could be light to rain to dry, but I reckon it'd probably be a continuous rain throughout the whole session. But that's going to make things interesting, and we could have a mix-up order because people who are quick in the wet might not necessarily be quick in the dry, or vice versa. So could be an interesting session here.
Yeah, and it depends how people set up their cars, of course. We don't know the information on what's going to happen in the race. I mean, for all we know, it could be pouring down there as well, like it has been in this country for... Well, it's been alright the past couple of days, but we've definitely had our fair share of very, very poor weather. And it appears to have hit the game as well, which, you know, as I say, you mentioned that France race, which was wet to dry. I mean, I know I weren't commentating it, but it was absolutely insane. I mean, if you haven't already, do check it out on wherever the races are put, I assume YouTube. But yeah, that was absolutely crazy. And say, I'm not too sure what happened in Austria at all, because I weren't here. I weren't even watching it. So all we can really go off is the standing is say the Mercedes team is the one to beat in terms of the drive. So Jork does have that championship lead. So it'll be very interesting to see if, say, I think Danny is the closest challenger to him. I'm going to load up the table. So it'll be very interesting to see. Obviously, if he can put a dent in him, I can assume he's going to be very quick. Because he does seem to have found a bit of his old form back. I mean, he was very, very quick back in the day. He did take quite a time off race. I know he's been working very hard, you know, in his job. I think he's a lorry driver, isn't he, Danny?
Yeah, he is.
So he is. He's not driving a Williams, which would be very ironic at this point. But yeah, he's been very hard working. It is good to see him back and say now he's improving as well. I always knew he had the pace in him. It was just a case of getting back up to speed. It's very nice to see him getting quicker. And as I say, hopefully, I mean, next season, if it really continues at this pace of improvement, it can be in Tier 1 next season. Fingers crossed. So no one's really getting out to lap. I mean, you say it does look pretty heavy out there. I mean, it's inters, don't get me wrong. It's definitely not the full wets, but I don't think this will dry up, personally. If anything, I would say it's getting worse, but yeah, it's very steady out there.
Definitely. So the first man to start a lap is VSR He's out umpire, should I say, for the last corner. He's new to the league. He's not familiar on the standings, so he's definitely new. Let's see how he gets on this lap. Let's ride on board with the runner driver, and let's see how things are getting on. So through turn 1, turn 2, it's very sketchy in these wet conditions, but he gets it in nicely in 4th gear. He's a bit wide there, but he'll try and cut that yellows onto the 3. I wonder if somebody's gone off there. Probably have. Now just trying to be careful on the throttle here. It's very important to just be careful and not hit full throttle too quickly, because that will spin you off. And now down this straight, and then into the next double left-handers. And he's gone very deep there, so he's struggling already to try and get his braking points set. And a lot of these drivers are better and are probably more used to the dry conditions, and probably a lot more practice in those dry conditions than in the wet. And another yellow in the 3. So again, people definitely struggling in the early laps here. Anspas has now joined, so he's back in the lobby. Through old turn 1, he's really struggling through there. He's oversteering through there, and that's going to lose him a lot of time. And now through Beckett's, obviously flat, normally quite quick in the dry conditions, but in the wet, you have to be a lot more cautious and more careful. And he's navigated through those. Not too bad, actually. Not bad on the throttle there, and he's got through nicely, and that's the end of sector 2. That's the 112.9 in sector 2. So definitely a lot more time to find for him. Of course, we've seen a few mistakes, but that's about learning the circuit at this stage. They're not quite sure where the grip is and where they can push the maximum. And now we're heading into the last chicane now, braking before the 50-meter board, down into third gear, turns it in, very careful on the throttle, winding the throttle nicely, a little bit of oversteer, but he's going to get away with that. And across the line, it's going to be a 40.7 to start things off. So that's the first lap on the board.
Is it? It's not counted
that
as
was
a lap.
actually, so that he must have gone off somewhere on that lap. He did look like he did go off, I think, out of old turn 1, and now Smasher goes to 38.9, and now Jork does a 38.6. So times already in tumbling, and people are getting a lot faster. And then 9, now Mike, look at that, 38.5. That's a pretty good lap. How is his teammate Danny M7 getting on? Let's have a look at Danny. Danny 19th, heading into the last chicane now. So let's see, this should be relatively up in that ballpark, mid 38s. That's where he wants to be aiming. If he can get anywhere near his teammate, even not ahead, that should be good. Across the line to 38.0, and that's actually half a second faster than Mike. And he has had that edge over Mike all season. He's definitely been the one with a bit more pace than his other teammates. So fair play to Danny. Puts a 38.0 on the board. That's pretty good. Who else is out there on laps? Pigeon Munch is 38.2, and that puts him P2. That's not a bad lap either. And that's right up there in the mix. So good lap there from Pigeon Munch. Puts him into P2. Let's have a look down the order. Bromson's out there at the moment. He's one to watch. He can be very quick. Pelzery, 37.897. And he's one driver that's superb in qualifying, but just can't hook it up in the race. He makes a few mistakes here and there, and then it just goes away from him. But that's not a bad lap to start for him. That's a couple of turns up on Danny. And let's put the marker down in these conditions. But Bromson, he's one to watch. Aaron Dazzler, he won last time out as well. He's been on a bit of form. He's got good qualifying form, but he's struggled in recent times to convert that into the race performances. But he got that hooked up last time out in Austria. So he's definitely on a bit. If he can build some momentum this season, he's going to be right there. So let's see how he's getting on, the Red Bull driver. He's now through sort of Maggots and Beckett, so that's this section of the circuit. Very careful on throttle. Let's see what he can do. Oh, he uses the rear end. I think he's not actually on a flying lap. It's 13.2, so it's going to be nowhere near the top times. Let's have a look. Bromson, how's he getting on? He's through the last chicane now. Let's see. He's running it up. Last corner. And across the line, it's going to be a 40.5, so not great. But again, it's just him kind of feeling out the circuit. And that didn't count either, so he must have gone off somewhere on that lap. But people are back into the pit lane. Is anybody else on improvements? Mizzi's on the... Nathan Aitken's pushing it, but he's going to go for another run here in the Ferrari. He's through the last corner, really struggling, but he's going to start another lap again. How's Jork getting on? He's actually on a lap here. I think he's actually on a lap here. Let's keep on board with Jork. He's down.
Yeah, he's down by about a second in the first sector, so I don't think he's particularly pushing it either. I mean, you can see by his ERS, he's not actually using any of it. So I think it's the case of people just can't do 2 flying laps, maybe because of the ERS management. I'm not too sure. But it's interesting to see people gone in the pits already. I mean, normally, this is myself personally, I would do a few laps on the inters, knowing that, I'm going to get quicker and quicker and quicker, finding more times. Very, very rare in an inters qualifying that I'm going to smash out my fastest lap first time and not be able to improve. As you're always feeling, because no one particularly practices for the wet unless it's pre-planned. No. So you're always going to be feeling that. So unless people are thinking maybe it's going to dry up towards the end of the session, slicks might be the way to go. I mean, I can't see it with just under 10 minutes left of the session. But, it could happen. The British weather does throw up a surprise. When it did rain about a couple of hours before the start of the real-life race here, which is very interesting, but it never did anything to the track. So, I'm probably glad it didn't actually, and remain dry. Thank God for that. But yeah, I think a few people are going to be on laps. I think Bromson's just set his personal best lap, 39.2 there. It's interesting to see the difference actually between the top and the bottom of the grid, 2.5 seconds. It's a big difference, isn't it? Especially when you consider only 13 people have actually set a time. So let's see.
It's a big difference.
Close to completing a lap.
Midsy's currently on one. He's coming through Maggots and Beckett's now, so he's giving it to me. He's gone deep there.
There we go.
37.7. That's He's definitely on form today. He did a very good lap earlier on, and then he's gone even faster there. So, is that an idea? Is that a track improving? Is that actually getting better? I don't know. It doesn't look like it's getting better to me. But that might just be him getting much more comfortable with the circuit. Track is gonna get better, but it's not gonna drastically change from the start of the session to now. So, again, Mizzy's backed off on this, and he's doing a few laps. Mizzy actually here. Mex, how's he getting on? He's not gone fast, so he's starting another lap. Brumson's still out there, he's down on his lap. Zelchi's actually up by 0.3, so let's keep with Zelchi. Currently in 8th place, he's 1.3 down on Pigeon Munch. So there's potential here to improve and get up the order if he can. It'd be probably top 5 if he can get there through the last chicane now. He's the good run through here, and then he should be on set for a faster lap time. Let's see where he can go through the last corner. 38.4 puts him P5. That's not bad. So another improvement for him. He'd be happy with that, but he'd probably be looking to box in this lap and put on a new fresh set of inters. I don't think it's going to go dry in the last 7 minutes. That would take some drastic drying up. But I think a new set of intermediates on that car and just go for it again, put the fuel down, and absolutely give it some. Sync John MH is now in 7th on a 38.5, and it's a pretty tight group there between sort of 5th and 7th. They're only separated by, what, a 10th and a half, if that? So pretty close between those three on pace. And Mike's gone on an out lap. Danny's, I think, maybe on one. Let's keep on board with Danny M7. Let's see how he's getting on. And the track does look visibly drier than it was earlier on, actually. So it stopped raining.
It has, and you can visibly see a drier line now.
Yeah.
Is someone going to be brave and do it? Because I mean, looking at it now, I mean, it changes very quick on this game. We see it in the France race a couple of weeks ago, as I say. This now, I mean, I didn't think it would get dry about 3 minutes ago, but it stopped raining, and it's just going to ramp up. So I think people might be thinking of slicks, and maybe someone is brave enough to try it. I mean, Danny Pitts. I mean, Danny went even far off on his lap, so I think he's realised the track conditions. Maybe his race engineer told him. Good old Jeff has informed, I think, everybody, because the problem you would have, because good times have been set, I mean, if the track does dry up but it's not enough for slicks, inters might potentially overheat in them conditions, which maybe you're not going to get the best lap time. It'd be very interesting to see. I mean, Jork's just started a lap. Is he going to be up in his first sector? He's 4 tenths up in his first sector, which is massive. I mean, it might be worth seeing his progress throughout that. I mean, his smooth driving style is one to really pay dividends, and he's talking to say Zelch is starting a lap as well. So maybe a few people are thinking slicks is the way to go, and you can always monitor that difference between the compounds. So best to stick with Jork. Oh no!
Oh, he loses the rear. He's gone.
No!
That's a sign that these tyres are overheating, isn't it? That's the sign that maybe it's time to pull it. I mean, it looks like offline it looks fine, but online it's not. And it's struggling there. I definitely think it is time to brave it out. But this is where it means the last 5 minutes of the session, track gets better, but also really, if you want to get the best lap possible on slicks, if you choose to go on those slick tyres, if you cross the line, the last person to cross the line is going to have the better track by the end. So it's going to be interesting to see how the track evolves in these last 5 minutes, how it gets drier, and it is definitely visibly drier than it was earlier on, as now Jork pits. So everybody I do think, are all going to come into the pit lane, put on a set of slick tyres. But then again,
you say that, but a couple of people are out on out laps. I mean, Brunson's just come out of the pits on inters as well as Mr. Pigeonmunch. I mean, it made no sense to go on slicks at this moment. But they've gone back out on inters, so if they're actually going to go for flying up, they're not leaving themselves an opportunity to go on slicks, which, I mean, we can't see the information. Normally, I'd be flicking in between the two sets of tyres, seeing how fast it's going down, working out if it's going to be worth it by the time the clock ticks somewhere down to 0. And of course, are we going to get a sort of Monza-like qualifying at the end? Is everyone going to try and go out at the end and try and get the best possible track condition, which would make absolute sense in this case? Monza, I don't have a clue what real-life drivers are doing, but it would make sense here. You know, who's going to time it right? Which, you know, as I say, you got to time it right and then nail the lap, which in these conditions, you know, is easier said than done. It's easier said than done anyway, but especially when you're on the very limits of grip, because people, as I say, practice a lot just in normal dry conditions. This is just not something you can prepare for at all. So just under 4 minutes left. Let me see what tyres people have pre-selected. Well, only Mike and Antsmaz have selected softs. I think people are waiting for it. Who is anyone out on an actual lap?
Pigeon Munch just started one on his Inters, so he's gone again, and he's going all out on this Inters run. So let's keep on board with him. I mean, it is. There's a lot of spray on circuit at the moment, so it's going to be one of those where if people choose those slick tyres, it's going to be an evolution, and the track's going to get better and better. And as you mentioned, people are going to be trying to get across the line the last point as possible to the best circuit. So it is drier. At first, he's up by a tenth and a bit, but it's not substantially faster. It is better, but it's not a great deal. So let's keep on board. He's a good exit through here, which he'll definitely get. And he's careful on that throttle. And now through here, and heading into Old Turn 1. Let's see how he can get through here. People have lost the car in the session, and he's in 6th gear. Careful on the throttle. That's not bad. And now through Maggots and Beckett's. Let's see how fast he can hit this. He's in 6th gear, a lot faster than earlier on, so he's definitely got more grip on those tyres. And then he's a good exit here, and he's going to set himself up down this straight. That's not bad, 11.0, but it's down. It is down in that middle sector, so he's backing off out of this lap. He got? I don't think he's got enough time. I think that's done for him. That's his session done, surely. He's not going to be able to get out again. And no, I don't think he's got enough time. He's definitely not going again.
He's going to go for another lap, but I would, if you haven't already, get the detail selected to fit tyres people on, because not many people have opted for slicks. You've only got Mike, Mexi for, I think that's how you say it, and Smasher F1 on the slicks at this current moment. A couple of people still in the pits, but Mike is the only one actually out on track in them slicks, and he's actually just about to start a lap now. I mean, oh my god, I mean, look at that. He's got no traction at all.
Struggle.
He's got 1 minute 38 to complete this lap, so he's going to have to go as fast as he has earlier in the session. Go on board with him, yeah, and look, the slicks are just not working at all. I mean, if he's not going to be able to get round either, so the time is absolutely horrible for Mike. Mike,
he's gone off.
Mike, come on, we can see that. We know what you're doing. Well,
it's naughty, isn't it? Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, it's a bit naughty. Yeah, is this like almost like the 2014 qualifying?
Yes.
Because it's almost like where the track's drying up. Rosberg was on a slower lap than Hamilton. Hamilton decided to go, you know what, mate, I'm backing out of this. And then Rosberg had a really good couple of sectors after that. And he took pole away from him, and some others as well. So this could be an example of that where...
Sixth.
Yeah,
behind...
so if you don't...
Ooh,
maybe
it was behind now.
I mean, you've got people like Mex out there and Smasher. They're on that slick tyre. Now they're on.
They're not going to get round. They're not going to get round. They've got 30 seconds.
No,
they've got no chance.
Definitely not.
They've timed it really poorly. So Inters are the way to go. But is anyone actually going to improve? I mean, you would think
Danny's
so,
out there at the moment.
It's just not going to happen.
Danny's
Mike's
on
not
a lap.
Round.
No. So Danny, let's see how he's getting on in his progress. Let's run on board. With second man in the championship. He's lost the rear end out of the exit of Old Turn 1. He's okay though. And now through Maggots and Beckett's. That was so close to. He's on the limit on the grip here. He needs a good line. He's got a bit deeper than he'd like to. He's really struggling for traction out there. It's 11.7. It's down by 7 tenths. It's not an improvement in my opinion. So it's looking like Pigeon Munch has got this one wrapped up, and Danny backs out of it. That's it. He's held his hand up there. That is done. Pelsery won't be going out for another lap because that is out. His lap's finished. Sink John, he's on one, but he might have it. No, he's backed out of that there. Zelchi is on a lap.
The line. He's about to cross the line. I mean, he was half a second up, but he's been sliding so much in his final sector. I mean, he improves only by 2.5 tenths. I mean, you can just definitely tell that the track is just not suited really to any tyre. I'll be very surprised if we see any major improvements. Jork slightly up, quarter of a tenth in the first sector. So actually sliding his way through cops, I think that's invalidated. It's gone out a bit too wide. St. John through Maggots and Beckett's now. It's actually very well held by St. John. It might be worth staying on board with this one. Danny Pitts from P3 here. So he backed off, but oh no, John's completely backed off. He's like 10 seconds off. Oh yeah.
Zelchi down by half a tenth roughly. Jork is up. He's down by a 3,000ths. Is he gonna get an improvement on that 8.5? These two are probably our last ones. So let's see. Jork now. He's rounding up. Can he find a bit more time in that last sector? Last chicane now for him. Down into third gear, and he's going to be careful on the throttle. It is drier, but is he going to start understeering rather than getting the traction that he wants? Let's see, across the line, it's an 8.7. It's not faster. That is it for qualifying. And you just saw there how the end of the qualifying, nobody was on tyres that were suitable for those conditions. Inters were not quick enough. They were slower than they were earlier on because there was not enough rain on circuit for them to work properly. And then the slicks, the track wasn't dry enough. So we had a scenario there where track was drying, didn't dry enough, and Pigeon Munch put in a very good lap when it mattered, when the track was at its prime, and put in a great lap, 37.7, and it starts on pole position for the British Grand Prix. Fair play to him.
Bring back the groove tyres. There you go. That would have been perfect. But yeah, no,
2008. Let's get it.
And well, fair play to the three people which tried to give it a go on the slicks, but ultimately it was just never ever going to work. The track just wasn't good enough. So I may as well take you through the order now if I can. 20 seconds. So Pigeon Munch grabs pole next to that. Palsary got that lap in very early on in P2. Danny and Mike on P3 and P4 on the second row. The Mercedes looking very strong again. John with a very good qualifying ahead of Zelchi in 6th. Jork, the championship leader, down in 7th. B.R. Hamilton in 8th. Aaron Daz in 9th. C for 10th. I'm not going to have enough time. Brumson, Smasher, Antsmaz, Critchley, Midzy, Nathan, Ginger Ninja, Hayden, Umpy and Fletch. There you go. We got it done. Just.
Bravo.
Ooh.
Bravo.
Quickest I've ever done anything. Ooh. I need to breathe. Oh, it's raining.
Oh, raining again. And it's similar to qualifying, where it's the same kind of... It's light rain. It isn't heavy. It's light. Is it going to be a wet to dry, or is it just going to be going wet, 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 and just continuous getting wetter throughout the whole race? We'll see how it all plans out, but typical British weather kicking in again, and it strikes again, and that makes things a lot more fascinating, I think, because if it's an all-wet race, then people can make lots of mistakes. It is about consistency in these conditions and not losing the traction out of corners. And if you do lose it, then you're going to lose a bunch of positions and even cause yourself some damage. But this is going to be interesting. If it does, we'll see how things play out. I mean, if it's, we'll see what sort of rain we get. If it's going to be a transitional race or if it's just going to be light rain throughout, we'll see how things will go. But people will be starting on those inters. And we'll see how this will go. Pigeon Munch will lead them away, and he was the man in qualifying to beat in the end. He had super pace. He was constantly in that top 5, and then strike the lap in early, a very good lap in, to do a good job there. So, well done to him.
Yeah, and I think a thing which probably people don't think about is, I mean, quite a few people did quite a few sets of tyres there. Now, if this is the conditions all race, it's going to be a one-stop. Inters can't last 26 laps. So
No.
You only get 4 sets. If people have used 3 or even 4 sets, a fresh set of inters is worth a lot. So if you're going on to a set which has just even done a lap or 2, that's quite a big performance difference. So very interesting to see. I mean, as I say, if it's transitional weather, can people keep them tyres alive for long enough? That is a thing. If it's going to dry up like lap 16, 17, can people make them tyres last? Because the one thing you don't want to do around it is an unnecessary pit stop. It costs you in excess of 30 seconds. It's the longest pit lane of the season. So if you can get away with it, I mean, we might have a virtual safety car, we might have a proper safety car, you never know. It might come out, especially in these conditions, there's a good potential for someone to go off, and we've seen that qualifying there. I mean, a few scary moments with Cox, most notably say Jork and Zelchi, and Danny as well, he held the car, but Jork spun. I think Zelchi lost it as well. So, interesting. People pushing on the whole lap.
Yeah, they're pushing really hard. I mean, I think it's Danny and Pigeon Munch got really, really, really close. Almost Pigeon Munch nearly killed Danny. Like, it was almost as if they were both weaving their tyres and it got a bit close, but I think they're fine. But the big thing here as well, Joe, is just the traction off the line. they're gonna be so careful with the way they apply their throttle on the grid, because if you get it wrong, you're gonna be wheel spinning to days, and you could even throw it into the barrier on the right hand side very easily. So it's gonna be very important to get the start right, and it is harder to get it right in these conditions in comparison to the dry. So, you know, whoever this grid order by turn 1 and by the first sector even could be completely different. And I think, very likely, completely different to what we had in qualifying. So we'll see how all things go. Everybody's lining up to start this one. The last few cars are getting into their grid slots, and we'll be able to get this race underway. So here we go, boys. We're revving for 5 red lights here for the British Grand Prix, round 10 of this season. 5 lights are on. And it's lights out and away we go. And not a bad start from the front two. I think Bellsbury got a pretty good launch there. But it will be Pigeon leads into turn 1. Not a bad getaway. But already Pellsbury's under pressure from Danny. And let's see, can Danny get on the inside? He's going to go for on the inside of Pellsbury already. Very quickly. It's wheel to wheel between the two of them. Through the second quarter. Through this next part here. He needs a good run. Try and cut back. If he came around the outside actually, he'll try and go. But he's been forced off wide. So Pellsbury positions his car very well. And he keeps in second place for now. Danny will be trying to get in front of him as quick as he can. He's in the slipstream. They're almost weaving to try and keep temperature in their tyres, if not defend the slipstream a little bit. But there you go. They're all been pretty well behaved through that first sector, haven't they, Joe? No real dramas. Everyone keeping very well behaved. A few people have lost positions off the line. We had Zelchi and Jork lost 1 position each. There has been a yellow had a collision.
Nathan's round at Luffield there, so has he got damage? I'm not too sure, but I just see him. I'm not too sure. I know Mexico definitely has damage on that front wing, but has Nathan got damage? I mean, either way, I can't really tell, to be quite honest, on that camera angle. I mean, either way, you know, that's very bad news for him. I mean, he's down. I mean, he was near the back anyway, but it's still not good. I mean, he's lost a lot of time in that. I say the field is very close. I mean, Jork's all over the back of Zelchi. Is he going to try and move into slow? Isn't he? He's on the inside. Zelchi does a lead.
Look at Jork as well. Jork's going for it on Zelchi. Look at this. These two, yeah, they're very close together. I think it was Jork attacking Zelchi, actually, if anything. And it's going to be Jork around the outside. That's going to be a fantastic move. He pulled that round the outside of the chicane there. That's a beautiful move by him. He's now back into 7th place, so he lost position off the line. That's a very good move on the first lap of the race. That is some risk to go around the outside there, but he pulled that one off superbly, and he's into 7th, trying to catch B.R. Hamilton. But yeah, you mentioned they're all pretty close together. They're sort of separated by, what, half second, 6/10 between the lot of them? It is pretty close, but Jork already is lining up a move on the racing point of B.R. Hamilton. He wants it done quickly. He looks to be a little bit more confident already. 3/10 now. He was down a bit further than that, so he's catching that up. Pellsbury, on the other hand, is keeping with Pigeon Munch. That's a 3/10 gap between those two as well. So people are trying to get into their groove earlier on. It's really important to get into a rhythm very early. And if you don't, you're going to be, you're in danger of losing a lot of time and making a lot more mistakes than you normally would. But it is close. Here we go. Jork right there with B.R. Hamilton. B.R. Hamilton's starting to drop off that top 5. So if anything, Jork wants this move done as soon as possible. And B.R. Hamilton is wide out of old turn 1. So he really wants this one done. He's through Maggins and Beckers now, and he really wants to hook this one up. He's a good exit through here, and this is where he got Zelchi. He got a good run through this corner, and that hooked him up. And you know what? He's got a pretty decent run here. He'll try and use his ERS if he can to get past, get a move done. You know what? He's towing him down the straight. He goes to the inside line, and this is basically a mirror image of what he did to Zelchi earlier on. He's on the inside. He gets that move done. He's going to have to, but look at that. The race point holds it around the outside if he can, and he goes completely off the circuit. Will he go for the inside? No, he won't. He'll let Jork go, and Jork is into 6th place, makes 2 positions up in the first lap, and that's very good stuff from Jork. Got a lot more confidence, and now he can chase after the top 5.
Yeah, I think Hamilton was lagging a bit as well. I mean, it's interesting that Hamilton tried hanging it around the outside. It's not like he really got forced off the track. He had plenty of room, but just the grip wasn't there. Interestingly, Nathan setting the fastest lap there. Not having to defend from anyone, not particularly having any traffic. I mean, he's got to make C-through, I do suspect has damage. Only a second in front of him now. It's just interesting that he set the fastest lap all the way down in Lato. He didn't collect any damage from his spin. I'm not sure if he just got tagged around. I'm interested to see the footage later, just couldn't quite see it. But yeah, Pellsbury, well, he's a little bit
he's there with him
now, but he's been taking different lines to just try and get a better run. traffic pattern was very interesting in the first few laps. So, yeah, there's a bit of gaps between so George getting past Vera Hamilton, who I think might be struggling. I mean, he had a very good France race, but that was just down to whoever pitted for slicks first, really. So maybe that's what it comes down to today. I mean, it doesn't matter how you run, really. If you're there at the end, that's where you are. So, yeah, so George can set about, having a bit of clean track. In the midfield, there's a good battle for 9th, 10th and 11th there. You've got them all pretty close and going further back. Yeah, look at Nathan all over the back of Mexiva. It's night and day the grip they've got in the high-speed corners.
Ooh, Zelchis has got past Vera Hamilton again. It's almost an identical move to what Jork did, but Vera Hamilton fancies his chance back on him. Yes, no, he doesn't. He backs out of that one. But yeah, you mentioned that group for 9th. Brumson, Critchley and Ansmars are really close together. And actually, if anything, they're closing in on Vera Hamilton and the Zelch. So there's like five of them together, close in proximity, really wanting to go for it. But let's turn our eyes back to that lead battle because, again, Pelsry's right there with Pigeon Munch. It's will to will with both of them again. So here we go. These two boys really aren't going to go for it. Pelsry looking the better of the two in that first sector alone, but he loses a little bit of time here. He's too far back to make a move. It's not possible here, but he'll try and force Pigeon Munch into a mistake. And now that got very close between the two of them. That will be in Pigeon Munch's head, and that could, if he lets it, that could affect things. So here comes Pelsry. He needs a good run through here. Again, he's not bad on the traction here. He's right there with him. He had the bit of the toe, but again, it's not that powerful in these conditions. But you know what? He is closing up pretty quickly, heading into Old Turn 1, but he was too far back to make a move there, and it is too risky in these conditions to make any sort of attempt through there. But now it'll be all about trying to hook up Maggis and Beckett. This section here is important, because if he gets a good run through here, it's a great opportunity if he can. So here he comes. Now through here. He's a good exit if possible, and he's right close to him. He's sort of 2 and a bit tenths back. It might be, it's nearly 3 tenths, but he'll have that toe. He'll be using that overtake if he can, and he'll be trying to get past. He's too far back. He'll have to stay behind for now. But look at the Mercedes boys behind. Danny's starting to close in on this as a little bit. So they're all starting to close in, and Pigeon Munch seemingly looking a bit vulnerable on pace. But he's got track position. That's the important thing. And in these conditions, it's probably a bit more important to have that track position because there's less effect of DRS. There's no DRS in these conditions at all to use. So it's harder to get past in these conditions. But it's all about trying to force your opponent in a mistake. And that's what Pelsry's got to try and do. Fast off the race by, I think that was Critchley there on a 41.1, I think I saw. But there you go. Like Pelsry closing in. Smash against a penalty. But Pelsry's really closed up here again. He's a lot faster at this point in the circuit.
Oh God, Critchley nearly ran it into his teammate. I mean, he did. I don't know how he's called that. It's battle for 8th. Vera Hamilton's pace is just absolutely non-existent. He's just holding up a load of drivers now. You mentioned it was like a 4-car train. Stelch's checked out from that. I mean, it's all the way back down to 14th now. From 8th to 14th. Vera Hamilton's just got absolutely no pace at all. He's all over the road. So Smasher and Aaron Dassler, they're battling for 12th. I mean, it's just a consequence of this battle, just holding everybody else behind up. I think Brunson got past Hamilton. I'm not sure if he made a mistake or not, potentially at Cops. I didn't see it, but he dropped back behind. And look at the gaps, 3.5 seconds between Stelchi and Hamilton. So they've played off whilst being watching the battle at the front. I've been trying to watch that. So Hamilton's all over the place. Pelsry's less than 2 attempts off Mr. Pigeon. Better to go back on board with that quick.
He's there. Look at this. He's really there. He's 2 tenths now, and it's going to be close. But has he got enough overtake to get it done? I don't think he has. Look for the move. Is he going to go for it? Yes, he does go for it on the inside. He's done that move. He's trying to force the round driver off if he can. He's done that move pretty good, but the round driver won't have any of that. Surely not. No, he'll let him have it. And Pelsry leads here in Britain. A very good move. Textbook stuff. But Danny also, earlier on before that happened, Danny was right there with Pelsry too, and it was very close between those two. So Danny's definitely in his own in the zone at the moment. He started to let go of Mike as well. So Danny looking like he's got a bit of pace to use if he needs it. Bear in mind, Pelsry doesn't have the best rep in terms of consistency in the race as well. He makes many mistakes. He's good in qualifying, but isn't there in the race. But today, so far, first 6 laps, been the better driver in this race out of the two, out of himself and Pigeon Munch. He's got that extra pace that he needs. So fair play to him, but Pigeon Munch will be looking to try and counter-attack back on that Williams driver and try and get back into the lead. But again, there's a long way to go. There's 20 more laps to go in this race. Plenty of life left. Many more mistakes can happen. And it's all about trying to play that waiting game. And I think that's why Pigeon Munch didn't choose to go and attack back on Pelzeri into the last chicane. Because he probably thought, you know what? Plenty of life left in this race. Let's just see it out, see what pace is behind Pelzeri, and go for it again if I need to.
I would not want to be in a position lower than 8th, because I would be getting incredibly frustrated at this moment in time as, oh good God, Critchley just ran completely out of road there.
I'm with these boys here, yeah.
And the penalties will stack up, but it's a massive train.
I'm wondering if Hamilton's got damage or something. Like he's just physically struggling. But here comes the Torosso of Bromson here. He's looking for it. He's really close. This has got to be the move, surely. But he runs out of straight on speed alongside him. So it's as if he's not deploying enough to get past. But Beer Hamilton goes very deep there. He's going to be all off the circuit. This has got to be the chance for Bromson. Can he get the move done? It looks like he's done that one completely. Going to try and break a little bit deeper, and he's got that move done, but Hamilton will try and come back at him. It's wheel banging. It's pretty close. Be careful because the contact model isn't one to really mess with. And Masno looking for a move on his own teammate. Can he get it done? No, he can't into turn 1, but he'll be trying to hook up a move. Now Beer Hamilton gets another penalty, and look at Critchley behind. Critchley wants in on this as well. He goes for it on the inside of Masno. That's a superb move on the brakes. That was pretty good. Really aggressive. I don't know if Anspas made a mistake there. I think he might have just broken a little bit too early. But Critchley got past pretty easily on the brakes. But this is a good old scrap here between these boys. It's all of them, though, all together. Smash is looking a bit feisty on Anspas here as well. He wants in on that racing point. He'll try and cut back here if possible. This is for 11th place. It's not really for a point, but he wants to get in that mix for, in for 9th place, really. He wants to get on with this. I mean, these guys they're pretty close together. It's all down to nearly even, is that even down to 17th now? Because Nathan Aitken's on the back of Hayden, and they're pretty close. So it's close as now Smasher goes completely off the circuit out of turn 1. Let's go back with...
It's spun off the cobs. He's back down to the back of that queue. So I'm not sure if there's contact, but... yeah, he's gone off. As I say, there's 2 races going on, really. You've got first down to 7th, who are all pretty close together. So John's pressuring Mike. That's the biggest one out of that lot. And then you've got Brumson backwards, really. That's the rest of the race. I think it'll probably be a bad hit because of damage reasons. But let's say Aaron's just had that spin. But it is just 2 races going on, really. Bowsbury fastest lap, just cementing his pace. Really, he's pulled out a second gap. Bear Armington pit. So as I say, suspected damage potentially, or he's just ruining them tyres. Maybe he didn't have a fresh set of tyres for the start of the race. I don't really know. That's a possibility. I didn't see any visible damage, but
John's looking good though, isn't he? He's looking really good here. I think he's got a good opportunity, and Danny is really looking for a chance on Pigeon because he's 1.2 off Pelzeri now, and Pelzeri's got that pace. He's looking very good out there at the moment, but John looking to try and get on with it here. Definitely, he's sticking behind Mike for now, but he's losing a lot of time to that top 3 and losing touch with it. So if he wants to get on that podium, he wants to get past Mike as soon as possible. But at the same time, Mike's gonna be like me. I've been here a race. I want to defend this as much as possible. Jork's in on this battle too. He's in 6th, and Zelchi's closing on that too. So that's 4-way battle for 4th place here. But look at that, John, a lot more confident for cops, and he's looking like he wants this opportunity. He needs a good exit through here. And at the same time, Danny looking very close to Pigeon Munch, and that might be worth going on board with potentially. But we'll make our minds up here. It looks like it's closer between John and Mike. So let's see, can he gain? He's just not getting enough down this straight because there's no DRS. He can use the ERS, but it's not enough. Let's go back to Danny, and Pigeon Munch is very close between the 2 of these boys as we head into that final chicane. But at the same time, Pelzeri is just getting away at the moment, and this is, I think, maybe Danny definitely has a lot more pace than Pigeon Munch at this stage of the race. Maybe has Pigeon Munch burned those tyres off as he used the most of them at these early points when he was leading the race. Potentially, I think that's probably the case, and really. Danny wants to pass possible as Mike. Did Mike break away a little bit from John there? He has broken away a little bit there, so managed to get the gap up to half a second again. But Danny again, 4 tenths back, too far back. You want to be sort of 2 tenths to make a move. That's where you want to be in these conditions, but it's so hard to get there because you're so focusing on just getting the best traction out of corners all the time. Danny will try and cut back here and just open up the line a bit more to try and get back on and just try and get better traction and and it's not bad. It's not a bad run, but he uses the rear end on the curb, so he's dropped a bit of time there, at least a tenth or so there. He's too far back. 3 cops again, but no move possible. But it's not a bad run through there, and again he needs a hook up. Now it's all about this section. If he can get a good run through here, he can get a move done. It is a lot of our moves we're seeing is after this section, and a lot of our drivers get a better exit here and then get it done. That's basically how it's done here. Seemingly a common place for overtaking, and he's 5 tenths back. It's a train. Look at him. 4. There's also behind Mike, John, Jork, Zelchi, they're all pretty close in proximity to each other too, so those boys are really going for it. And let's go back to see how that's all shaping up. And again, it's just a train at the moment. It's a train, no one's able to get past Mike, and this is the tricky bit in these conditions.
Yeah, I think Hamilton's bad race finally came to an end. I just don't think it was comfortable at all. I think he ended up crashing, even though he retired in the pit. So he's unfortunate with the session, no safety car out or anything. But yeah, as you say, I think it's just that part of the race now where I think it's difficult to make moves. You've either got to be seriously a lot quicker than the car in front. You say you've got to be 1 or 2 tenths behind and gaining going out of these, going onto these straights, or the car has just got to simply make a mistake in order to capitalise on it. Or you've got to be really brave, which, in these conditions at this point, it probably isn't worth it. So what will be very interesting, because the rain looks very consistent. It doesn't look like it's going to be stopping at the moment. Who's going to really pit first? Is anyone going to try an undercut? Because you're not going to make it throughout the entire race on these tyres. It's just not possible. You will get punctures at some point. Is anyone going to try an undercut? They think, I can get tyres 15 laps, 16 laps. Is anyone going to come in soon? Because it's not like you're going to come out into any real traffic if you pit. I mean, you might come out, I don't know, behind one of the people who've suffered problems potentially, but yeah, Housley's broken away by over 2 seconds over Pitcherman's. Yeah, Housley's pace is, talk about it a lot of motorsport.
It's super, yeah.
Win, employ a thin, there you go.
Zelchi's looking close to Jork, but he's too far back, but he's definitely a little bit more confident in this lap than McLaren driver, so he's looking for a move. John close behind Mike again, but no opportunity. These 4 are just stuck in their train. And Danny is getting held up by Pidgeonmunch, I feel, here. As now Zelchi loses the rear end out there, and he's trying to push on. All these guys are just trying to get closer and closer to each other, but it's tough. It is really tough in these conditions to get it done. John very close to Mike again. Let's see how this one goes down, because they're close together. It's a good run through here. But then Mike's not really, the gap stabilised between Mike and Danny. It's been about 1.5 seconds for the last 4 or 5 laps, so that's just kept there. It's not really grown at all, and that's why I feel that Danny's probably getting a little bit held up. But he's now lost time to Pidgeonmunch, so interesting to see. Maybe he's backed out of it and going to try again later on. But why is he doing that? You let him Pillsbury just get away with this race, as he's now 2.6 in front and looking very good with 15 more laps to go. But still, it's not over, not half distance yet, and there's still a lot more life to go in this race, and things can happen. I've got a feeling Danny will look for the undercut on Pidgeonmunch, and I think probably, you never know, Zelchi might try an outside shot on trying to get the undercut on Mike and try and get in front of that group if he can, but that's going to be a tough task, but that's what he wants. Danny's closer now. Actually, you know what? He's really close. He's alongside Pidgeonmunch, and he's got that move done on Pidgeonmunch. Pidgeonmunch from the inside line. He'll try. No, he won't. He'll back out of that one, and he'll try and get a better exit through here if he can. He can attack back on Danny if he can, but he's too far back. He pits in. He's pitted. He's bailed out. Those tyres are, I think, gone. And Danny is now 3.4. That's how much time it's cost him to get past the Renault driver. York as well.
So they're the first 2 out of the lead group, you would say. Is anyone from the midfield group going to come in? There was a very good battle on that lap. I don't know if you caught it, between the 2 Toro Rosso drivers. In 8th and 9th at the moment, they're going to be promoted a couple of positions respectively there. So they both go back on the intermediate tyres. It's the only thing you can do. He's yellow to what? John! Oh no, John! Through turn 2. I'm not sure if he's had contact or not, but John's round and he looked very quick. I know he was a bit contained behind Mike, and if there's contact that he's falling right down the field. It's a disaster, really. I mean, he was having such a good run of it as well, so he's kind of just
overheat his tyres though as well.
Yeah, he's going to have
traction now, and yeah, man. So unfortunate. Well, do you see what happened? Did he have contact?
No, I didn't.
No.
I just see yellow flag, see he was going down positions and didn't really catch it, but he was backwards on the exit of 2. I mean, it could have happened 3-1. It is a very difficult corner in the dry in race conditions, let alone in these conditions. So that's so unfortunate for him. Say some of the gaps between the top guys now were spaced out, but that's because a few people appeared. Ansman's right behind Bumson now, so I say Toro Rosso's 5th and 6th. They've been having a bit of a battle, but I think Critchley is now pulling clear. So Ansman as Ginger Ninja's actually all over the back of Mitty. He could probably make a move going down the hang straight, could he? About 2-3 tenths behind. He's not had the best of runs. Mitty's done very well actually to get the traction down. And Ginger is going to be able to do too much about it. Palsbury again with the fastest lap, so he's been able to just get in front, conserve them tyres, and that gap to Danny, who did eventually overtake. I know that's going to have helped. I mean, it's just growing and growing and growing. And that's, good news to him that, halfway through the race on tyres which are meant to be past it, he's just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. I mean, the track conditions look exactly the same, to be honest, since the start of the race. So, yeah, interesting to see how this all shapes up after the pit stops anyway.
It's good to see that, because I think that also for Pelsbury means that any undercut threat there is, he's looking pretty good to minimise that as much as he can. So he's in a good place at the moment. He'll have fresh tyres to the end of the race as well, because he'll be to go longer on those inters that he's already got. So he's looking really good as Mizzy and Ginger Ninja are really squirming for grip here. They're both lost the rear heading into the end of the sector, so they really are struggling at the moment. Yeah, field is. You've got Pigeon Munch, Jorg obviously pitted. No one else has taken the ticket to pit yet, and they've all stayed out on their older intermediate. So I think everyone's just feeling comfortable. And sometimes when you switch over to the fresher intermediate, it takes you a bit of time to get back into that groove. At the moment, they're all in a rhythm on these tyres, and they're probably feeling quite confident. When you change over to new, you got to try and get into that rhythm again, and that's what Pigeon Munch and Jorg will be in. But if they start pumping in good laps, then obviously they're looking good for the undercut that they need. I think for Jorg it was against Mike, and for Pigeon Munch will be against Danny for any undercut. As now Danny and Pelsbury both pit together, as now Mike will take hold of the race lead, and he'll pit in the next lap round. So here comes Pelsbury. Let's see what sort of this will be. He won't be held up because he's the lastest grid boxes at the very end of the pit lane for Williams. And here we go. Oh, they're not ready for him. They're not ready for him.
Are they not?
Is that Mice? Oh, no, they're not.
Right,
It's glitched out. It's
through.
fine.
That's strange.
It's fine. That was very odd. They weren't ready for him on my screen, but he's fine. He's ahead of Danny. Danny's going to come out. Where is he going to come out? Let's see. Let's compare to where Jorg is and where they are. It's a slow pit lane, remember. So this was going to be close. Jorg's going to come out. Where's Danny? Danny's in front. I think that's not worked out at all. If anything, the undercut didn't really work.
The undercuts worked massively. I think,
actually, no, it has.
Mr. Pigeon Munch had a really good outlap. It was a 40 flat, and say he was falling behind Danny, and now the fact he's, just about 1.3, 1.4 in front. I mean, it's really worked.
It has worked. It has worked. Yeah. It has worked. It's Jorg. I thought Jorg actually. Jorg's battling with
Jorg wasn't really in that battle.
No, he wasn't that great. No, it wasn't. The Pigeon Munch just made that work. He's gained 1.7 seconds because he was 3 ticks back on Danny before, so that's worked out big time. It's a very good undercut done by the Renault driver. Now I'm wondering, so how is he? He's 2.6 behind Pelsbury, so he gained a second on Pelsbury there? So that's worked out very well. But bear in mind, Pelsbury will have fresh tyres for the end of the race. So it's going to work out for now. You have a bit more heat in those tyres at the moment, but it's going to be the end of the race where he might start to struggle. But it just means that Danny's got to do all that work again. He got past Pigeon Munch, now he's got to do that work all over again. And it's not ideal. He didn't want that to happen. So that's worked really well. Mike's going to be down the order. The undercut's been that powerful. It's going to be really down. His battle was with Jork, wasn't it? So let's see how Jork's come out in comparison to slow pit lane once again. So Jork's coming round. Where is he at the moment? He's through the last corner. This is going to be tight, I think. I think Mike might be... He's coming out now. Jork's on racing speed. How close is it going to be? Jork, is he in front? Yes, he is in front. Just about. So that's worked out pretty well. Not as strong as it worked for Pigeon Munch on Danny, but that's worked pretty well. His tyres will get the temperature as well. So that means that Jork will be in net P4. And he's in net P4 at the moment. So that's superbly worked out. But now Mike is going to have 3 lap younger tyres. So this is going to be a good battle to watch. And this is the story though. At the moment, it's track position for Jork. And we saw what happened with Mike when he had track position. No one could get past him. So can Jork do the same way? He can stay in 4th place, keep the track position, and keep there. Because even if you have all the tyres, it might be that he can just keep ahead, and Mike can't get close enough. So we'll see how that all plans out. They're all sort of spread out though, aren't they, Joe, a bit? Dazzler's 2.7 off Selchi, but he hasn't pitted. He's 14 lap older than us, so he hasn't pitted. Or he might, he must have pitted on that first lap because it's 14 lap old, so he must have had something happen on that first lap for him. Brumson's 5.9 off that, so that top 6 are kind of in their own. They're off doing their own thing, whereas everyone sort of from 8th downwards is kind of just. Yeah, there's really not in that group as Dazzler's going to have the pit. Well, Dazzler doesn't have the pit. I think he's already pitted already, so... let's have a look.
No, he hasn't.
No, Dazzler hasn't. No, he hasn't.
He doesn't have to pit anyway, but he does.
He would have to pit, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Gone by the end, yeah.
Be interesting to see if he can keep their tyres alive then, because although Mr. Pigeonmunch got that undercut, it really was effective. You really see Danny throughout that first stint, progressively get a lot quicker than him. So 2 lap older tyres could have even more of a chance to keep them tyres alive. As I think John's going to be a very interesting person to watch. Obviously, with that mistake or contact, I don't know. But he's down in 13th, and very interesting to see as he steams up the inside of Mitzi there. Through the loop, so I think Mitzi see that coming. I don't know if he made a mistake or not, but Nathan Aiken's all over his case now as well. Another person who, was round on lap 1, so he's trying to fight his way through.
Oh, he's gone for it.
Way back.
Yeah,
Mitzi's seen him coming, but
it's contact. Bit of contact between the two of them. It's close. Nathan Aiken around the outside, yes. He'll try and cut back and get a better exit, which he will get the better exit. Loses the rear on the curb though a little bit, so his progress will be hindered. Is he? No, he's too far back to make it. He's sort of moving to cop, so he won't even try it. He'll try and hook it up. Oh, actually, around the out. No! Both of them actually. Nathan Aiken went wide. Mitzi lost the rear, but Nathan Aiken's got into 13th place. And Mitzi's really struggling on these. They're new inters. He shouldn't really be struggling on them, so he's definitely struggling to get in some sort of groove there. As now he's in the pressure from Ginger Ninja.
Oh. Yeah, he's even made more of a mistake there. Yeah, I mean, they might not be new. They might be old ones from qualifying.
Scrubs, yeah.
We don't know that. As Aaron finally pits now. I mean, that was a very long first stint. I mean, see whether that pays dividends. Maybe it's over for a safety car or virtual. I mean, that would have been a smart thing to do. But yeah, Danny has progressively closed that gap to Mr. Pigeonmunch. It doesn't surprise me that he's the faster of the two. He was the faster of the two anyway. And it's interesting to see now that he is starting to close the gap. It's under a second. I expect that to probably stay under a second for quite a while unless mistakes are made. Brunson holding up, his teammate Antoine's in a Toro sandwich there between 7th, 8th and 9th as he picks up a 3-second penalty. That's one thing we've not picked up on actually, is any penalties. I'm going to have a look through, save you boring the stream of them. Let's have a look through, see what is going on. And once I press start, what's going on track?
Danny is he's there again, he's looking a lot more confident than Pigeonmunch, but it's going to take a good exit. He's going to need that good exit through here, and he's got a confidence through here, and he's a good run, and he's there, he's close. Is it enough? That's what I don't think it is. It's 4/10 out of the exit, so it's not going to be enough. He's closing and closing and closing, but it's not enough to get past Pigeon Munch, but Pigeon Munch goes a little bit deeper through here, and Daniel will try and get a good run, but again, Pigeon Munch was able to open up that line a bit better and get better traction. The last chicane now needs a good run. Pigeon Munch goes a little bit deeper than Danny, but have a tighter line here. We'll try and get good exit for the last corner, which he does not a bad exit again. Pigeon Munch.
Zelch is pitting. What's he doing?
Again.
Yeah, has he got
did he get
drive-through potentially? I didn't even know you could get drive-throughs, can you?
It didn't come up on the screen. It's a pit stop. It's a pit.
It's a pit stop. Oh, he's retired from the session. So what? I'm not sure what that's about. Because he definitely pitted for the correct tyres. I can understand if he went on slicks accidentally. I don't know whether he's had a wheel issue or... I mean, that could be a problem. I mean, if his brake or something stopped working, then yeah, that makes sense. But it's just very odd in isolation. I'm not really sure what's happened there. Hopefully, something comes through on the chat potentially.
But yeah, 8th in the race. Good points we're on. So that's a shame. That is a shame. Not ideal for him, and that was going to turn out to be not a bad result for him, but. That's unfortunate, as again, Danny right there with Pigeon Munch again, 5-10 separating these two. So they're giving it, he's giving it some, but it's not enough in the right areas. He's good through Magus Beckett's, and then he's a good exit here. But then in the wrong, he's good in the wrong areas of the circuit almost. Again, he's 4/10 back. Is he enough? He's too far back, because we saw this last time round. It wasn't enough. He's too far back. He isn't going to lunge it because it's just not enough. He needs to get that gap under 3/10. It's not a bad exit though here. Does he fancy his chances? Yes or no? No, he does not. He's being wise. It's not worth it. It's the line closes in if you do that. Need again. Pelsery 39.5. He's really got the pace. Look, it's 5 seconds the gap between him and himself and Pigeon Munch. It is looking like it's going to be a great day as Pigeon Munch gets a penalty. So now Danny. He's got second plates done on penalties, but he wants to get a move done to try and see if he can catch Pelsery. But we saw earlier on he didn't have enough to catch Pelsery on the same old tyres, the same life of tyre. So not enough. Danny looked all over the back of Pigeon Munch before this straight, so he's just too far back. Stay behind for now, but looking like Pigeon Munch is a bit vulnerable. Maybe getting that penalty has rattled him a little bit because. It's not ideal. Jork also could be in for a shot of the podium if Pigeon Munch loses time. So really, it's all about Danny trying to get past. He's really close through Cops, but he's getting too far back. He's a good run here. Pigeon Munch also gets a pretty decent run too. Now through Magus Beckett's. Needs a good exit. This is the closest he's been. So Danny, he's got a good opportunity if he can get this last part right. It's not a bad run, but not great, not really brilliant. It's there. It's closing. Yes. No. He's too far back. You have to stay behind again. Pigeon Munch squeezes a lot deeper though. Gets not as good of an exit, I think. Danny, does he fancy his chances? No, I don't think he's going to go for it. He'll stay back again. And again, he's not getting it nailed at the right part of the circuit to get a move done. He's close here. He's a lot closer. He's just under 3/10. And now it's 3/10 through that last corner. So it's as if in that dirty air, he's just struggling to get the turn in that he needs to really rattle Pigeon Munch into an error or get past him. And again, Pigeon Munch deeper here, but he can almost get away in the wet to go deeper. Is it me, Joe? Is it heavier? Is the rain got a little bit heavier than it was?
I mean, it looks slightly, but it's never going to be anything to put it on to full wet. So, I mean,
no.
Even if the track does, get wet enough for that, the intermediates will just hang on. And plus, it's just not worth it. There's, 6.5 laps to go. You're never going to make it at the time unless you just completely fall off the track. What I will say is, my suspicions about Zelchi, with his, I said it might potentially be a wheel issue. He has put in the chat it was, the equipment's let him down, so I can only assume it seemed to do with his wheel or his pedals itself. So very unfortunate there. There was no obvious sign. There was no obvious penalty. He was running in a good position. No damage. So yeah, very unfortunate what's happened to him. As you say, Danny. Yeah, he's just a bit too far back.
Yeah. it's always 4 tenths here. That's the problem, and it's just. I mean, he's going to close up again, but it's just too far back. But Pigeon Munch has made a few mistakes into this corner, and he's gone a lot deeper. But again, Danny's followed him there, and that's worked out not bad. But he's too far back to make a move in this last chicane, so not able to do it. But meanwhile, whilst Danny is stuck in this, I think Jork's not really catching either. It's sort of 3.4. It's been 3.5, so it's still there. So really, Pigeon Munch isn't holding Danny up in regards to Jork. But he really wants to get it done. But at the same time, with 5 more laps to go, is he realistically going to catch up one and a bit seconds per lap to get past Pelsbury? And even if he does do that, is he even going to get the move done on Pelsbury? Probably not, if he does have the pace. So track position is seemingly being key, and it's continued. It's continued in this race where the track position has been really important. It's now Nathan Aitken, and they've both gone up this race. No, I can't see what's happened. They must have made contact. Must have made contact. There's no other way that's happened. They've both of them gone together. That's interesting. We'll see the reaction of that in the chat later after the race. But I'm sure something's happened there.
Yeah, Nathan got a penalty pretty much as soon as they DNF'd. And you can see the stricken McLaren of Hayden on the pit entrance there. I was just going aboard with Sifa there, so I'm not too sure what has happened in terms of all that. So, yeah.
Oh, look at Danny. He's closer than he's been before. He's closer. He's really close. Is it enough? Does he look for it? No. He's too again. He looked. Not enough. But he'll get a not a bad run here. You know what? He's close. Does he go for it now? He doesn't. He's too far back again. But the thing is, Pigeon Munch has got him all over the back of him. But all we need to do is just keep his calm. Just needs to keep his calm and keep him front for now. Because at the moment he's doing enough. As Danny loses the rear out the last corner, and he's cost himself a good half a second at least, nearly. So he's going to try and make that time back up again. But we're still there, aren't we, Joe? Not much has happened. Everyone's sort of stuck in their groove. Everyone's just basically got track position, and they're staying there. No one's able to make a move. Critchley's close to Ansmaz, maybe. This might be one to watch. It's close. He's got a bad run through turn 1. Does he go for on the inside? Yes, he does. He's broke a lot later. He's gone on the inside. It's wheel-to-wheel racing point on the outside. Turns to the inside for the next part. And now the Taurus will try and cut back if he can get alongside, but it's not really taking opportunity through here. He'll get the ERS instead. Try and get... No, you know what? This might not be enough. He's going to close up, closing, links to the inside. Yes, no, goes for it on the inside. He's broken a lot deeper, but the Racing Point will try and cut back. He will cut back, and Torosso's oversteering through there. He'll have the inside line. The Racing Point will have the outside line. Trying to the inside, he can try and get the cut back. He won't go for it. It'll be forced wide by the Torosso driver, and Critchley has got past Ansmash with a fantastic battle between those two. They kept the space between the two of them. Really racing respect there, as now Critchley's gone a little bit wide through Cop, but there you go, good move there for Critchley, and that was superb respect. Now Danny close to Pigeon Munch again. It's a 10th and a bit, but wrong part of the circuit, I'm afraid, to Danny. It's not close enough for the move, and yeah, it's not enough, as behind Jork really isn't closing in on Danny, so these two can continue the battle, and Pigeon Munch will still get a podium on penalty still. Jork and Mike, they're close together. Mike's tyres being younger, but of course track position playing a big role here, keeping Jork in front, as we said earlier. That was a big thing in the first stint of the race, and is repeating itself in the second bit of the race. Brumson's a massive 10 seconds off the top 5, so there's a big split between those 5 and the rest. And might get a good run here on Jork. It's 4 tenths. He'll try and close up if he can, but he's just too far back to make a move. He'll have to stay behind for now. And again, hope that Jork can make a mistake later on in the lap.
Yeah, even commentating a lot really on them battles. As I say, I've just been sort of watching, seeing, say Danny can make a move. I mean, he's the closest to another car out on track at the moment. Interesting to see, if anyone's tyres really do fall off in the last few laps. Conditions are ideal really for the intermediate. Rain staying system, not like qualifying where it dried up and nothing really seemed to work. Just trying to look for other battles where Ansman says, fallen a bit back crucially after that, great battle. And apart from that, Mitzi, Smasher's car is lagging a lot actually. Mitzi's all the way back as Smasher, but Smasher's internet is interesting to say the least. And then really,
a lot to be desired.
Yeah, you got to get off that dial-up, lad. Is Danny going to size himself up for a last lap move? He's been thinking about it at that chicane a couple of times now, although it's probably a bit too late. And Danny as well on traction. He's really pushing his luck.
Yeah, of course, yeah. He's giving it some. He's giving it some. Is it too much? Really, I think you got to admit this is now done. I think the race was done. Pellsbury's doing a fantastic race. And really, Danny's, what is he battling for? He's battling for second place. He can have it on penalties if he keeps it clean. I'm guessing he's probably wanting to get in front if he gets a penalty himself, which you can understand. But for now, he's just not able. He's not fast enough in the right areas. And the same with Mike. He's not fast enough in the right areas to get past Jork. And the track position, the undercut for these two, Jork and Pitchman got the undercut done. And that worked out for track position in the end, and that's really helped them. Jorg still could be trying to push. I don't know if he probably doesn't know about Pitchman's penalty. He won't probably have that information, but it will be pushing on. Again, Danny's closing again. He's definitely got the pace here. He's got a lap car in front. Is that a Renault of a lap car? Is that
It's a lagged out car.
Yeah, he's a lagged out car. He's okay then. But again, he's close, but he's 4 tenths back, and it's not enough.
Mike's really close to Jork. Is he actually going to try to move into cops?
He's going to go for it!
He thought about it.
Yeah, it was so close. That was real close.
He had a thing, but Jork, it was just a bit too far back, and Mike did realise that. Thankfully, last possible moment. So, I mean, you've got to put your nose in there. Sometimes it's worth scaring people off the road. If Pitcher Munch and Danny do that, as I say, Jork might be on for a very surprise podium. I don't think it'll happen on pace. In fact, I think it's incredibly unlikely to happen on pace. He's about 4.3, 4.4 behind. Now, 3-second penalty turns to, over a second still. With 2 laps to go, these two would have to have a bit of a mad battle for second. I think Danny does know about Mr. Pitcher Munch's penalty to say he's not going to win. Now, wins out of the question. Pellsbury, he's driven one of the best races of his league racing career, probably. Super consistent out in front. For someone who's not even had a podium this season, to put on this sort of performance is absolutely remarkable. So, I play to him, hoping he just gets it across the line now, 1.5 laps to go. Danny doesn't have to force way past. Mike definitely does. And everyone else is just sort of spaced out now. So, yeah, the battle really, second, third, and fourth and fifth respectively. Can anyone get past? I just don't think they can, Dom. I really don't think they can.
No, I think we've seen where track position always has been a key factor, and again, it's proving that in the slipstream is not powerful enough in these conditions. It's pretty powerful in the dry conditions, but here, and without the DRS, without all these things, just it's not enough. The straight's almost not long enough in these wetter conditions to make any sort of move. But I think it might be. I think everything's decided. I think now it's all settled in, and the race is pretty much done because Pellsbury has been the man of this race. Has had the pace. Really, he was very patient in the initial stage of the race. He was set behind Pigeon Munch, got the move done when he needed it, and has driven away since. I think it's just been a textbook race. He showed that he's had the pace in qualifying. He's had some decent qualifying performances this year. Just hasn't been able to hook it up in those races. He's made some mistakes in the races, but this has been a very good race in the wet, tricky conditions, and it's been a very, very well managed race. I think Danny's backed out of this now. He's 9 tenths back. I think he's going to settle for the second place on penalties. He may as. There's no point going for it. But now we're just watching with Pellsbury. The last few corners for him now, ending into Magnus and Beckett's for the final time. And it's just been, he's had the pace when he's needed it. He's delivered the pace when he needed it. Even when people were trying the undercut, he was able to find a little bit extra time and a little bit extra grip on his tyres and pulled it and kept in that lead. And this is a win that I think he'll be very chuffed about. He is coming through now the final couple of corners, heading into the chicane for the final time. It's been a typical British Grand Prix with the British weather showing throughout qualifying and the race. This man, though, has kept his head cool at all times like a fantastic thing that he is. Across the line, it's a win in Britain for Pelsbury. Fantastic job. Pigeon Munch will hold on for second, but on penalties. Danny will get that one done. In second place, Pigeon Munch will hold on for third on penalties. Jork comes across the line for fourth. Mike in fifth. And Promison's going to be a long way back, but he'll come home in sixth. That's 8 points on the board. That's still very good points. And a good day for Toro Rosso because that's sixth, and that's going to be seventh place. Very good result for him, for them too. But Ansmaz actually gets it on penalties. He's now in sixth, so Ansmaz on penalties gets sixth place. It's Toro Rosso seventh and eighth. John recovers to ninth after spinning out earlier on. So he'll get some points on the board. But again, a race that could have been for him because he could have been in that top 5 easily. Splasher comes home for the final point in 10th, Midzi 11th, Ninja in 12th, and Fletch comes to the lost line in 13th, and Mex going to be a long way back, but gets it to the end of the race in 14th. And it's really, sometimes, you have to finish these races to even get any sort of reward. So he's going to finish the race here, down in 14th. But Joe, what do you make of that race?
Well, as I say, it's very interesting. I mean, I think something you might have to look to is if you put the thing onto the fastest lap. I mean, not many people really come close. I mean, Critchley was the only person giving 2/10 of Pelsbury's fastest lap, and it just seemed Pelsbury was just doing that every single lap, near enough. I mean, such was his pace. I do believe as well, when Matt serves me correct, Danny will now take over the lead of the championship on countback through better results. I think they both had a victory each. But I'm highly sure Danny's had more second places. I think he's had like 2 or, well, now 3. And compared to, I think Jork's only had 1 or 2. So I'm very sure Danny takes over the lead in the championship from that. Of course, Mercedes are, the lead constructor. But the man today in the Williams, Pelsbury, bit of a shock result. It must be said, he's just not had the best of season. You say incredibly quick, but not delivered consistency. But today, there you go. I mean, you can't say anything but consistent and quick. Absolutely fantastic performance. The class of the field, I'd say he'll be very happy with his day's work. I'm very sure he'll be happy as well to say a few words when I've got to try and invite them now, haven't I? Are we still doing this?
Yeah, here we are.
No,
let's run through the order. So Pelsbury wins in Britain, a fantastic race win by him and super control. Danny in second place on penalties with third for Pigeon Munch, and Jork in fourth, Mike Marshmallow in fifth, completed top 5. That's quite a familiar top 5 in my opinion, particularly Danny, Pigeon Munch, Jork and Mike, they're pretty much there, very close together. Answers in 6th, Bromson in 7th, Critchley in 8th, and John recovers to 9th, and Splasher in 10th. And Mizzy in 11th, Ninja in 12th, Fletch in 13th, and Mex in 14th. He's the last 5 finishes, but Umpire in 15th, Dazzler, Aitken, Hayden, Zelchi, and Vera Hamilton all didn't finish the race in these tricky wet conditions. That's been your British Grand Prix. We'll get the top 3 in the party, and we'll get the interviews underway, and I'll leave you, Joe, to do those interviews.
Thank you. Well, we got 2 out of 3.
Let's see if
Pelsbury was insanely quick today, but he's not very quick at joining the party, which is a bit of a shame. We'll give him a moment. Remember to tick the box for audio. You should know that by now.
Yeah, don't be a noob.
Yeah.
Well,
that would have been awkward if I'd have done that. No one would have heard me for the last hour and however much time it was. Give Pelsbury a minute. If he joins, he joins. If he don't, he don't. But yeah, that was a very entertaining race. And as I say, just try and look for the championship standings, really, see if anything other than what I've talked about has really changed too much. So Mulder didn't really have to. I don't even think he turned up, did he? He was 4th in the championship. No, he weren't in this race, so didn't turn up for whatever reason. Bit of a shame, but so he would have lost ground definitely to the top. Top 3 definitely. So I'm not sure Pelsbury is going to be joining. I'll just continue on. So Danny, very good result for you. Second is probably, considering how the race panned out, as good as you probably could have hoped for, really. I think Pelsbury was just far too quick. With that, barring any post-race penalties, you take over the lead of the championship, which good news to you. Yeah, just talk us through, obviously, how your race panned out, and yeah, just that really.
Yes, thank you. I mean, the start of the race was I just tried to I don't know, I just tried to like kind of keep behind them and see hope for any incident. And Pelsey, fair play to him, he made a good move into store. And then it was just myself and Pigeon Munch pretty much all the race. I'm not sure if he's on a pad or a wheel, but generally I couldn't get close in the places I needed to get close because the traction he had coming out of some of the corners was just ridiculous. And I felt as though I'm not saying I could have caught Pelsey for the win. It would have made my race a lot easier because I think I had a lot of pace still to unlock. But that's when I heard. That's why I heard when Pigeon Munch had the penalty. I just kind of backed off in a way. I still would have liked to have done it on merit, but yeah, I knew Joke was in P4, so I just thought I'd best consolidate the P2. And yeah, when I got ahead of Pigeon Munch, he came at the pits, and I think I stayed at one lap too much. But all in all, it was a very fun race, and about quali as well. The best conditions were at the very start, so we all missed out.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Yeah, I think we all missed out on putting representative laps in, so I can't really say I should have. I would have been quicker because I think the other two would have been quicker as well. But GG to Pim, he made very little mistakes. Pigeon Munch, that is, well, and Pelzer, he was just on another level today. But yeah, very fun.
Yeah, we did also notice as well in qualifying. I don't know obviously you'd been speaking to Mike at the time. He went on the slicks. Was there any instinct to try and do it, or was it just not worth it?
In last week in Austria, I went home on the track for my last one of Inters, and Jeff was telling everyone to pitch for the dries. That's where I lost out. But Mike kind of went out, and I was looking at the delta, and it was still 9 seconds. So it was just that time the track conditions were just not good for any tyre really, and he just thought he'd give it a go. But yeah, I thought about it, but it wouldn't have made a difference. The track was just like horrible, greasy.
Oh well, congratulations to you. And as I say, Pigeon Munch, I've never spoken to you before, so that means it's your first time here, which I think it is. So congratulations on P3. I hope you speak. You also have probably the best Xbox picture there is. Yeah, incredibly quick today, and obviously you had a very good battle, Dan. Yeah, just talk us through your race and how it all went.
Firstly, I was very surprised to be on pole. I was like, all right, I've done my lap, let's wait for everyone else. And I was shocked that I'd honestly stayed on top, but I guess what Danny was saying about the conditions were true. I couldn't find any time either. And in the race, to be honest, I'm just a bit of a bottle job, to be honest. I cut turn 1 on lap 1 and lap 2. So I was like, well, that's just sums me up, to be honest, because I think I didn't get my third one until well into the race, which got me my pen. And Pelzeri, I mean, there was at first I thought we were evenly paced, and then he just bolted, and I was like, all right, see you later. And Danny got past me, and as he got past me, I was looking at my tyres, and I thought, oh, yeah, I could get a second set to the end. So I was surprised Danny didn't come in straight after. He did another lap, he got me a good undercut. And I had some decent pace towards the end. I just kept on making mistakes, so lucky, to be honest, to get a podium. I was just, I'm trying to see the gap to Jock, but luckily enough, it was big enough. And yeah, it is my first podium, so chuffed, very happy.
Well done. I mean, I think you've been close before. You're not someone who's just absolutely bolted onto the podium out of nowhere. I think you have been close before, so it's good to see that it's all, finally coming good, and hopefully, you get more results like that actually going forward. I mean, it is very difficult because, you've got a lot of these very quick people, say Palseri, well, that's his first podium today. He's only gone and won it by a long way. Obviously, you've got the title challengers, to Mercedes and Jork as well. So, no, it's good to see that you can actually finally get the podium. Hopefully more follow. And speaking of following up, I don't think Palseri is going to join us, is he? I don't think he has a mic.
No, he's not. No, yeah, he said he's not going to join, which is fair enough. But he said congrats to you two, so well done, boys, from him.
Cheers,
but yeah, that's been the race. Anything else, Joe? Anything you'd like to say? In terms
What's
of,
the next race?
In summary? It's
Hockenheim.
Hockenheim.
What a glorious track.
That can spring up some
Then
good
one.
weather as well, can't it? As well.
I hope you'll join us for that. What a track! I don't mean that for any real life stuff. Just what a track to drive on. Absolutely glorious.
Exactly.
Minus
There's plenty
turn
of DRS zones. Yeah, minus turn 1. What a nightmare. That long straight should offer some.
Or the Sachs curve. Let's just not talk about it.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you can talk about the final corner. Everyone went off there.
Yeah, I suppose so.
The drag
yeah.
strip.
I mean, I think
Everyone did.
we've had some wet weather, and I think that's 4 in the last 5 or 3 in the last 4. I can't remember, but so we'll see what happens. I suppose.
Yeah, it should be good. And I think if it is dry though, we should have some great racing with that long straight there. So and going into the hairpin is going to be a bit of a nightmare on that first lap, I think. So we'll see how that all plays out next week. But hopefully I'll be back next week. We'll see. I should be. But it might be alongside Joe. It'll probably be back with Maestro next week for commentary.
He's his 18th today. Happy birthday,
So that's
James,
why he's not here.
by the way.
Yeah, happy
Yeah,
birthday, James.
happy
for
birthday,
watching.
James.
We remembered.
Anyway, let's end it on
Just.
that note. Thank you guys for watching. And